Ukip leader Henry Bolton said Britain must be careful how it handles its independence going forward. He said, "The current Brexit deal will continue to tie Britain to EU regulations, despite it leaving the Brussels bloc." In March 2019, Mr Bolton said Brexit talks are not going the right way. Speaking on LBC, he said, "Theresa May is grabbing the headlines saying, it's a breakthrough on the agreement, but actually, in effect, what's happening is the government is taking us out of the decision-making bodies of the European Union, whilst in some areas even integrating us further into the mechanisms of the European Union." The former police officer used the example of space research. He said the government had already signed up to EU agreements continuing after March 2019, meaning Britain's space research will be tied to large parts of European Commission regulations. Getty LBC Brexit News. Ukip leader Henry Bolton said Britain will remain tied to parts of the EU after Brexit if we leave in such a way that we are no longer free to set our own priorities in certain areas. Henry Bolton, he said, "We will not have a fully independent space research capability. We don't put rockets in the sky, but many people listening now might not realize we are the world's leaders in satellite technology." Mr Bolton said Britain's exit from the EU is about regaining independence. He said, "It's not just about leaving the European Union. If we leave in such a way that we are no longer free to set our own priorities in certain areas, then we are not independent in certain areas." Mr Bolton also said, "The nation needs to be ready for a no-deal Brexit scenario." Theresa May told the Commons in October that Britain is preparing for Brexit talks with the EU to fail. Mrs May said she would walk away from the negotiating table if she was faced with an offer of a poor deal from her EU counterparts. Speaking to Express.co.uk, Lord Lawson said Mrs May should stick to her guns and be ready to walk away with no deal. Friday, December 8, 2017. Here is the 15-page Brexit deal in full. He said she should stick to the position as she enunciated in her Lancaster House speech, which was an excellent speech, in which she said, "No deal is better than a bad deal. Therefore it turns out if we can't get anything other than a bad deal, then we go back to number deal. And if we get no deal, there's nothing to pay."